Okay, let's get to the coffee. At the headwaters of the Coco River lies one of the richest coffee growing regions on Earth. In the volcanic mountains of Nicaragua is one of the highest coffee farms. At an elevation above 5,000 feet, the Vida Joven coffee estate is growing some of the finest coffee. The Vida Joven farm didn't start as a coffee estate. It was and still is a young life camp. A friend from Esperanza Beneficio encouraged the camp directors to start growing coffee, pointing out that they were sitting on some of the richest soil in Nicaragua. With the help of friends, they began growing specialty coffee.
And we were pushing Jim Hornsby and Young Life to say, hey, come on, you have everything what it takes to be #1 out there.
Growing specialty coffee is quite the undertaking. Those dark little beans start out much different. Tiny white flowers cover coffee plants. They eventually drop the petals and a green fruit forms. These green beans grow well in a cool climate at high altitude in the shade. Cool temperatures mean more density in the bean. A critical altitude in the tropics is 1,500 meters, or about 4,600 feet. Coffee grown above this level is very highly rated. The Vida Joven farm is one of the highest in Nicaragua, with the fields above 5,000 feet. Their coffee is rated at 90 points and above, and is a very dense bean due to the high altitude, the low temperatures, and the long growing season. When the beans ripen, they turn a deep red color. Some varieties turn yellow. The fruit tastes sweet at this stage and are ready to be picked. Picking requires a careful twist of the fruit, with gentle pulling, so that the stem stays on the bush for the next growth.
We'll go through this another time in a couple weeks, and that will possibly be our last time, but there's a chance that we'll go through another time. We harvest from Christmas to Easter, not for religious purposes, but that's just how it works out. Right. Usually by Easter is when we're finishing up and we're going to celebrate with our harvesters the year's harvest. And but these beans here aren't quite ready to be picked. They won't give that excellent taste that we strive for.
Vida Joven employs families to pick the harvest. They pay about 20% more per bucket than other farms. Each afternoon, the pickers gather to measure their work. Children help out as their parents harvest the coffee. Miguel is the foreman at the Vida Joven estate. His son William has been working on the farm since he was just a boy. He's the first of his family to graduate college. He's returned with a degree in engineering. They're one of the many families benefiting from the coffee farm. The berries leave the field and are taken to be depulped. The fruit removal and drying should not affect the taste in any way and should be as unobtrusive as possible. This means that all coffees be wet processed, meaning the fruit is removed from the bean immediately after picking so that it doesn't affect the taste of the bean. If the wet processing is conducted with care, the coffee will taste clean, bright but cleanly sweet, without murky ambiguities. When the berries are carried up to the depulping machine, the good bean falls through the grating. Any berries hanging onto the bean go down to a second stage of the depulping machine. Finally, any remaining fruit is discarded. The first and second beans are taken down to be washed and soaked to remove their gel casing. 36 hours later, they're drained and once again inspected for quality. After the beans are drained, they begin the drying process. Usually these beans are laid out on concrete drying slabs to let the sun do its work. If coffee is dried on earth rather than on dirt-free concrete, stone, brick, or wood, the coffee will pick up a distinct earth taste. After a day of sun-dry, the beans are ready for sorting. Rocks, sticks, blemished beans, insect-chopped beans, immature beans, and other imperfect coffee beans are removed in a painstaking process. In order to have a higher grade of coffee, the beans are sorted through by hand. Any beans that have defects are taken out so they don't affect the quality of the coffee. Once the coffee is bagged, Vida Joven takes their coffee to Esperanza Beneficio, where it is cupped, tasted, and graded. The key categories are aroma, acidity, body, and flavor. The beans are then shipped to Rio Coco to be roasted. Rio Coco Beans not only buys coffee from Nicaragua, but they have also included buying from Yargachifi, Ethiopia, Honduras, and Mexico.